this is a really quick tutorial on how to do a single fold hem. So this is from the right side, and on the wrong side we can see where we've finished the edge and just folded it over and done one line of stitching. Really simple, and it's great for a lot of different finishes in garments. So to start with, you take your piece of fabric. Obviously we're just using a small piece today. For a single fold hem, we want a nice flat bit of fabric, and we're going to finish the edge of the seam here before we fold it back on itself. And then we will do one line of stitching, which will lead us to a nice clean hem on the right side of our fabric. So there's two different types of feet that you could use to do a zigzag stitch to finish the edge of your fabric. The first one's your regular pressing foot, and then we also have the satin stitch foot. This is really good for a zigzag stitch, so I'm actually going to use this one today. So to change the presser foot on this machine, there's a little clip at the back which we're just going to press, and it will drop the presser foot off. And then we're going to take our satin stitch foot and we'll put that underneath, and then I like to just drop the presser foot onto it and it locks in place. So we want to line up the fabric, and you want to line it up so that where the hole is on the foot, you can see on this one, you want to line up the edge of the fabric with the edge of that hole. And then we want to make sure we're on a zigzag stitch setting, a relatively wide and short stitch. We just run our zigzag stitch all the way down. This is what a zigzag stitch will look when you're finishing the edge of your fabric. So then our next thing we're going to do is fold over to the wrong side of the garment, and this is where you would look at your pattern to just see how big that your hem is supposed to be. So for this one, it probably works out, including where the fabric was zigzagged, at about 15 millimeters. We've got a nice clean line there. And then from the right side, you can actually see our press line through, but we have a clean edge. We now just need to do a straight stitch along here, and then that will give us a nice clean hem from the outside, and in the inside you'll just see this zigzag. Okay, so we've changed back to our regular presser foot, and we've changed our machine to a straight stitch. Now you can either stitch your seam from the right side or the wrong side. I personally prefer to stitch from this side, but if I've not pressed the seam, then you will want to sew from the reverse. So I'm going to sew at about the 10 millimeter line, which is about 3/8 of an inch. And I'm just going to first drop my machine needle in. I'll lift this up. I'll just check that it's caught all of the seam in there, and I know that I can keep my fabric parallel to the edge of this seam guide. So I'm going to do a couple of stitches, and then we're going to go back to lock the stitch in place. And then we're going to run this down the whole length of the seam, and a couple of back stitches at the end to secure. So once you've sewn your straight stitch, this is how it should look. We'll give it a nice press to help set the seam. And from the inside, you can see we've got our zigzag on our raw edge, so we shouldn't get any fraying. And if you do, it'll only be little tiny pieces that you can just trim off there. And you can see our straight stitch just running down through the zigzag. And that is all done, your simple single fold hem.